All right, everyone, and welcome to my channel. I am profoundly angry right now because I just recorded this video, and for some reason my phone didn't pick it up, and I have to do it again. And I really labored through it my first time. I almost fell asleep several times. So hopefully you will get maybe a better version, but probably not. I'm super tired. And, but this is an educational channel, and we take a look at great theories of everything, ancient and modern, and try to do deep dives into them to help you with your overall gestalt of how you perceive the world. Most of these great theories of everything that we cover on this channel are obscure, and you probably won't find them anywhere else on the internet, or not very many places on the internet, not in any kind of detail. And today is the 50th video that we've done on the book by Daniel Ingram called Mastering the Core Teachings of the Buddha. Ingram is a physician, but he spent many months in Buddhist monasteries in the Far East and throughout the West, spending 18 hours a day, meditating for months at a time, and also conferring with many enlightened masters that are monks in these places. He's also read voluminously all the classics of Buddhist literature, and has kind of taken all that and put it into one little package for us Westerners over here, English speakers, and you know, he's basically putting it on a silver platter for us. So we're going to take advantage of that. Right now we are in chapter 31, which is on the progress of insight. And in this chapter, he goes through the 16 different stages of insight that you go through as you progress in insight meditation, where you are opening up your 6 sense doors, your 5 senses, and your mind, and mental impressions, and investigating all your sensations for the 3 characteristics of impermanence, dissatisfactoriness, and not self. And by doing so, you progress through insight. And we are about to wrap up stage 11, which is called equanimity, which is the kind of the breakthrough stage, getting through the dark night of the soul, stages 5 through 10. And let's see what he has to say. Although I know, because I just got done reading it myself. Around this very mature part of equanimity, the feeling that we are not really here can arise, or that somehow we are completely out of phase with reality. Conducting our ordinary business may be difficult in this phase if we are out in the world rather than on the cushion, but it tends to last only tens of minutes at most, though rare reports involve it going on for somewhat longer. The sense that we are practicing or trying to get anywhere just vanishes, and yet this may hardly be noticeable at all. We sort of come back with clarity again becoming more predominant. Then we get truly lost in something, some strangely clear reverie, vision, object, or flight of fancy. By really buying in, we get set up to check out. When understanding is completely in conformity with the way things are, this is called stage 12, conformity. Conformity means that we suddenly flash onto a way of perceiving the whole of our experiential reality completely, directly, and perfectly clearly. This stage lasts only one moment and never recurs until we attain the next stage of enlightenment. The same is true of the following two stages, stages 12 through 14, conformity, change of lineage, and path, are the three moments of the first entrance to transcendent ultimate reality, or stage 15, called fruition. Through one of the three doors, there's a whole section on those shortly. In subsequent attainments of fruition at the same path or level of enlightenment, during the stage of review, stage 16, the three moments before fruition are no longer called conformity, change of lineage, and path. We will return to this in the more extensive treatment of these three stages in the chapter called The Three Doors. In the first edition of this book, this section on conformity was very short. However, I realized that this would be a great place to add something I call the hierarchy of Vipassana practice, as this culminates in conformity knowledge. Here is a practical guide on how to adjust our practice depending on what is going on and what we are capable of, as well as urging us to keep working to reach the next rung of the ladder of practice, skill, and understanding. At our best, we attain conformity knowledge, in which we effortlessly, naturally, simultaneously, and totally comprehend two of the three characteristics of our entire sense field, including space, consciousness, and everything else in that volume as an integrated whole. Bill Hamilton used to describe conformity as the moment when all of the centers of attention in the brain suddenly synchronize and converge perfectly on one complete moment, and his description holds up in practice. However, I will go back to the bottom, which is where most start and often return, and work back up from there, hopefully to illustrate that wherever you are, all you have to do is just get up one level and then work from there. This will hopefully make it more workable. Going from the least developed to the most developed. We have number one, not trying to practice, lost in our stuff, spacing out, mindfulness weak. 2, mindfulness weak, lost in our stuff, our psychological stuff, but at least attempting some technique or just basic attention to what is happening at times, even if we can't actually do it for long. People spend whole retreats at this level, unfortunately. 3, better able to practice, albeit with frequent interruptions, and to follow basic instructions such as noting, body scanning, or whatever you're trying to do. I'll go non-technique specific here, as this is a guide to the essence of the thing. Basically, any technique, object, or posture that moves you up this hierarchy and keeps you there is what matters, and nothing about the specifics of your object of attention or how you are attending to it is important as long as it serves that fundamental goal. Number 4, able to do a specific Vipassana technique or set of techniques that allows you to stay with aspects of your sensate reality as it presents with few interruptions. 5, able to apply those techniques or practices uninterruptedly. 6, able to perceive directly the three characteristics of objects in the center of attention consistently and directly, regardless of whether we are using a more specific technique. In short, if you can do this for that time, however long that lasts, whether you use a more formal technique is irrelevant. 7, able to perceive directly and continuously the sensations that make up the coarse background components, also in that same light of strong, direct Vipassana awareness, meaning direct comprehension of the three characteristics of not only the foreground objects, but also those in the background or periphery, such as rapture, equanimity, fear, doubt, frustration, analysis, expectation, and other sensations, as well as other objects as they arise, such as thoughts and the component sensations of feelings, as well as the primary object or objects. 8, able to do number 7 very well. I believe it's number 7. It just says number, but I think what he means is 7. In fact, it kind of looks like 7 superimposed over a number sign. So able to do number 7 very well, and then add core processes such as the sensations that seem to make up attention itself, intention itself, memory itself, questioning, effort, surrender, subtle fear, space, consciousness, and everything that seems to be subject or observer or self, all the way through the skull, neck, chest, abdomen, and all of the space, such that nothing is excluded from this comprehensive, cutting, piercing, instantly comprehending clarity that is synchronized with all phenomena, or is just about to be. Number 9, able to do number 8, naturally, effortlessly, and clearly due to diligent efforts to write that wiring on the mind as our new baseline default mode of perception. Number 10, we are back to where we started with conformity knowledge. We comprehend simultaneously 2 of the 3 characteristics of our entire sense field, including space, consciousness, and everything else in that volume as an integrated whole, and so attain conformity, and then change of lineage, path, and fruition, to be detailed shortly. That's what we are shooting for if we are at least going for stream entry. And it works well for the sort of complete mindfulness that affects higher paths. Keeping this hierarchy in mind, many questions are answered either directly or with small amounts of additional information. Question: does it matter what object I use? Answer: only if that object at that moment in time helps you at least stay at the higher of the lower few levels of the hierarchy and hopefully progress up them. You don't want to switch objects and techniques too often, as this will usually lead to a lack of depth, particularly if you are a beginner and have mastered no techniques or objects. You do want to have the metacognitive awareness to be able to frequently adjust how you are using your mind and to recognize where you are along this hierarchy, such that you are able to continually improve your game. Question: does it matter if my concentration is narrowly focused or broad? Answer: conformity knowledge can take any object and work with it, but it must take the complete sensate reality of that moment. If your whole moment is very exclusively focused or refined, it can work with that. If your whole moment is widely focused and broadly inclusive of the sense doors, it can work with that. Since all you have to do is comprehend the 3 characteristics of our sum total reality for 3 moments, conformity could take as object a refined object. If you haven't become automatically fluent enough with other objects to attain to conformity knowledge using them. For example, if you can get your attention focused exclusively on the breath, such that the breath becomes your whole reality, and comprehend the sensations that compose it, along with the attention focusing apparatus, as that is all there is. That's all you need to understand. If you can't get attention that focused or refined but have attained through diligent work a natural fluency in a wider array of other sensations, then broader attention will do just fine. Question: does it matter what technique I use? Answer: I would give different advice to beginning, intermediate, and advanced meditators. Beginners can benefit from more structure and technique. Once you have some solid skills, I would say scramble up the hierarchy however you can, using any object you can and whatever dose it takes to get there, changing objects, focuses, techniques, postures, or whatever other factors need to be changed if those help you move higher and stay there. This is the pragmatist's approach rather than the dogmatic traditionalist's approach to Vipassana. If a dogmatic and traditional approach moves you up the hierarchy, there is no conflict at all. If your dogmatic and traditional approach is not working at that moment, meditation period, hour, month, or year, try switching things around, preferably with the help of good guidance, if available, to see what does move you up a rung. Question: when should I stop noting and just pay attention? Answer: you can definitely stop when at that particular time you are at stage 6 or higher, but you could also continue as long as it doesn't slow you down or restrict your ability to comprehend whatever arises in its rich and comprehensive entirety. See Mahasi Sayadaw's Practical Insight Meditation for more good advice on this point. Read it very carefully. Question: which technique is better, noting, body scanning, Zen koan training, or what? Answer: whatever helps you progress or at least stabilize beyond the lower levels of that hierarchy at that time. Techniques that take time to learn well, so continuously abandoning one poorly learned and poorly applied technique for another poorly learned and poorly applied technique will not do any good. But if you have learned a few techniques well, then anything that works goes. Realize that this is, for most people, a very dynamic and nonlinear progression with many ascents and descents along the ranks of the hierarchy. And learning how to shift focus or approach at the right time is a learned skill that requires constant vigilance and practice. But having the basic goals in mind should help guide you. For instance, say we decided to use noting practice and had gotten to insight stage 2, cause and effect, with steady, slow noting. But then bad back pain began to derail our attempts at noting in stage 3, the 3 characteristics, during which time we fell back to lousy practice. We might reflect, quote, I am no longer able to do slow noting. At least I should try to do slow noting and perhaps mindfully adopt a different posture for the time being that isn't so painful. Or we might have been doing noting up through the 3 characteristics, but then began to notice energetic phenomena such as heat and kundalini stuff that were fluctuating too quickly to note well. At which point we might think, I was really good at blasting through the arising and passing away stage using more Goenka-style body scanning on a previous retreat and know how to do that. Maybe I will give that a try as it worked well before. Or we might have been rocking in the arising and passing away stage by rapidly and directly perceiving that perceiving fast vibrations and tingling interference patterns. But when we got to dissolution, stage 5, we noticed that our practice was completely derailed and we were just spacing out. We might reflect, whereas before I was rocking it in the arising and passing away stage, stage 4. Now my practice has fallen to the bottom of the barrel and perhaps attempting to do slow noting to build back up to more direct methods when would be better than understanding. Good plan. Or we might be high up in equanimity and yet not able to land a fruition. We might ask ourselves, what core process, subtle background or foreground sensations, or other patterns of core experience that really seem to be me, have not yet been brought into the clear light of direct comprehension in the way I have done for so many objects. In this way, we see what we are missing, and having learned to see those objects clearly, and without any effort at all, we land it. Working thus, we get a sense of how we can adjust our practice to accommodate what is happening and keep us riding the waves of change that Vipassana in all its forms can throw at us. And now we are moving to stage 13, which is called change of lineage. Having understood things just as they are, this next stage, change of lineage, which also lasts for just a moment, permanently changes a meditator's mind in ways that I will discuss in just a bit. Such meditators join the ranks of the awakened, while the social designation of formal lineage transmission is a very useful thing to have received. The results of this stage are, in fact, what that symbolic act is all about. They have done it, and thus attain stage 14, path, P-A-T-H. This stage, called path, also lasts just a moment. And after the first completed progress of insight, it marks the first moment of the newly awakened being's awakened life. It makes a permanent shift in baseline perception and brain function. It is as if you have flipped a huge switch that you can't unflip, and new circuitry hums to life. Circuitry, it seems, we build piece by piece during the stages of insight. The first time around, this is called stream entry, or first path in the Theravada. The fourth stage of the second path of 5, or the first Bhumi, B-H-U-M-I, in the Tibetan tradition, and many names in Zen that are purposefully ambiguous, but Kensho is the most common. I will go into a long discussion of the uses and perils of path terminology. Regardless, after a subsequent new progress of insight, it marks the attainment of the next level of awakening, whatever you call it. It is directly followed by number 15, fruition. Fruition is the fruit of all the meditator's hard work, the first attainment of ultimate reality, emptiness, nirvana, nibbana, ultimate potential, or whatever extrapolative or relatively inaccurate name you wish to call something utterly non-sensate. In this non-state, there is absolutely no time, no space, no reference point, no experience, no mind, no consciousness, no awareness, no background, no foreground, no nothingness, no somethingness, no body, no this, no that, no unity, no duality, and no anything else. Reality stops cold and then reappears. Thus, this is impossible to comprehend, as it goes completely and utterly beyond the rational mind and the universe and the universe. In external time, if we were observing the meditator, this stage typically lasts only an instant, though the question of duration will be addressed below. It is like an utter discontinuity of the space-time continuum with nothing in the unfindable gap. exactly like what happens when someone edits out a frame or sequence of frames of a movie. It is not that you see a blank screen for a while where they edited the frames out. Instead, that part of the movie is just not there. The initial aftershocks following the first time this happens at stream entry, or the first time it happens at the beginning of a higher level of awakening, however, can go on for days and may be mild or spectacular, fun or unsettling, or some mixture of these. There are times when it is fun to show off, and this is one of those times. Aftershocks, I have noticed after pass, include but not limited to the brief visceral feeling that sensory reality is so intense that the nerves in the forehead and upper neck may not be able to handle the strain. The feeling that new brain pathways are now being infused with vibrant life they lacked before, as if new nerve channels are tingling into life. The feeling that we have become diffused into the atmosphere without a center, purpose, function, sense of direction, or even will. A feeling of joy and gratitude bursting through our being beyond our usual sense of appreciation. The sense of having, at long last, discovered what we most needed. The profound sense of coming home, a quiet awe, like the stillness after a great storm. Rapturous, transcendent highs that make anything that happened after the first arising and passing seem like dry toast. And the profound feeling that something pressed a reset button on reality, causing it to reboot as new, clean, clear, bright, pristine, and fresh. All that said, there are those who won't recognize it, particularly those who chance upon it outside of a meditative tradition that can recognize it. There will also be those for whom it happens within the context of their practice tradition, who can recognize it, but who fail to identify it as being what it is. Sometimes the afterglow is not so spectacular, though for most, the series of insights, connections, syntheses, and the like that burgeon forth is impressive. Others will just go on practicing, not realizing what just happened. And we're going to stop right there today. That's as far as we got last time. And we will resume from this spot tomorrow when we come back. Thanks for tuning in today, and have a great day.